At Team Toyota, they've been selling and servicing new and used Toyotas in your community for over 50 years. And you can reserve your next new Toyota with them today. You'll get a realistic timeline, and even in this crazy market, they won't charge you over MSRP. Or don't wait at all. With over 75 certified Toyotas, including a bunch of RAV4 and Highlanders, you can drive one home today. And you can always trust them to maintain your current vehicle. Their service and collision centers are high-tech, comfortable, and will save you time and money. Team Toyota can help you go anywhere you want, but they'll always be your hometown team. Just visit teamtoyota.net and choose from 3 locations in Langhorne, Glen Mills, or Princeton. Hello and welcome to the Phillies Talk podcast presented by Team Toyota. Corey and Jim here with you on a Thursday morning as the Phillies have already taken 2 of their first 3 games here against the Miami Marlins, winning another series, 5 straight wins for the Phils, who are opening up a nice cushion in the National League wildcard race, Jim. It was a big game for JT Realmuto. It was a big game for Bryce Harper. And as you wrote, it came in front of, 5,000 people down there in Miami, huh?
Not even that. I mean, that was the tickets distributed figure, 5,000 change. 2 nights here. I don't think there were a total of 5,000, period, in 2 games. And it was kind of even odd. The first few innings, there was a rainstorm outside. The sound of the rain hitting the retractable roof was, all you heard in the stadium, except for occasional crack of the bat. I mean, you could even hear the umpire. You could hear pitchers grunting. I mean, it was like a B game in Dunedin, in spring training. So Harper, though, provided a rather loud sound effect with that home run in the 6th inning. So it was a good win for the Phillies. 5 in a row, 7 out of 8. It was a really productive day Wednesday because they picked up ground in that wild card race. You got to look at, the team hasn't been to the playoffs in 10 years, so you really got to focus on getting in, right? So they are 4.5 games up now on Milwaukee. The Brewers are the last team out. They're the team you have to X out to clinch your berth. And then it becomes whether you're the 2nd or the 3rd wild cards team in the NL, the 5th or the 6th seed in the league. So productive day. They got a nice lead, 20 left. They smell it. They're going to get there. They're going to break this drought. And, it'd be nice if they could wrap up a spot early enough to get the rotation some rest, get the bullpen some rest, get some guys like Realmuto some rest. You mentioned him, another big game. 4 RBIs. I think it's 22 in the last 20 games. He's really been on fire since the end of that St. Louis trip in July, right before he had to sit out those 2 games in Toronto. He's been on fire, offensively and defensively, and in terms of leadership and what he means to this team. I fully expect him to get, to be on that 10-man National League MVP ballot on a lot of ballots. We talked about it earlier. Who's the MVP of the Phillies? Schwarber certainly brought him back to life. Realmuto is helping keep the team there. So, and then there's Rob Thompson, who has done a remarkable job since taking over on June 3rd. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. A really good day for the Phillies on Wednesday. They had 2 broken hands this year, and Rhys Hoskins got hit on the right hand, but X-rays were negative, so they don't need a 3rd broken hand. So, yeah, lots to talk about, buddy.
Yeah, between Bryce Harper, Gene Segura, and Mickey Moniak, the last thing the Phillies need is another player with a hand injury, during a period where he's been pretty hot. I mean, Hoskins has been swinging it very well over the last week. Real quick, going back to JT Realmuto, I totally agree. He's never finished higher than 14th in National League MVP voting, but he's certainly going to be top 10 this year. Just some of the facets of his all-around value. So he's caught 98 more innings than anybody in baseball this season, yet he has only 2 passed balls. There are 33 catchers that have more. He's thrown out 27 base stealers, which is the most in the majors. He's thrown out 42% of those base stealers, which is most in the majors. Leads all NL catchers in defensive runs saved. How about this with base running? Realmuto has advanced an extra base on a single or a double 54% of the time, which is a top 10 percentage in all of Major League Baseball for a player at any position. 54%. The next highest mark for a catcher is 18%. So that's his value on the bases, where he's also 17 for 17 swiping bags. He's going to set a career high in RBIs. He's 1 point off his career high in on-base percentage, and his OPS plus, which is his OPS relative to the league average and factoring in ballpark, is a career high. So this has been his best season in a Phillies uniform, might be the best season of his major league career, and the Phillies have needed all of it because a good portion of that hot streak came in the period that they were without Bryce Harper. So, I mean, he's really living up to that price tag this year.
Yeah, and he's living up to that BCIB, best catcher in baseball, when there was a lot of hand-wringing the first 2 months about his play, mostly offensively, about his offense. He was just slow starting. He was kind of tinkering with his leg kick, and he was trying to find it, and sometimes it's hard to find. Hitting is it's a delicate thing in terms of building the confidence that you need, because it's so much of it. All these guys know how to hit, so much of it is feel and confidence, and it took him a while to get, and he got it in St. Louis. Another, you talk about value. You meant the base running. I mean, he made that. You remember that game in Atlanta? It was a day game. The last time we were in Atlanta, they're trailing the entire day, and Castellanos comes up and hits a 2-run home run, and they steal a victory in Atlanta. And I think it was getaway day game, hot, really hot. Late in that game, Castellanos hits a 2-run home run, bombed center field to give them the lead. It was a 2-out home run, 2 outs, 2-run home run. But the only reason Castellanos came to the plate was because JT made a great base running play to prevent a double play to extend the inning. So he does so many things on the base paths, behind the plate, at the plate. You mentioned all those really interesting numbers. I mean, his pop times, according to, is it StatCast, or they lead baseball. His framing numbers are elite. Talked about this a lot with Bryce Harper the last few years, maybe even the first year when he got off to a slow start. He would always say, it's not the start, and it's not necessarily the finish. It's the entire season. It's 162. You have to, measure yourself on 162. And more often than not, good players are going to, put up the numbers they're supposed to over 162. So JT Realmuto has put that slow start in the rearview mirror and has been just absolutely crucial to what this team has done from about, first week of July on.
And the reason I reference that pass ball stat is because Realmuto catches on one knee most of the time, if not all the time. And that's one of the knocks on a guy on one knee, is that perhaps it prevents you from getting to as many different pitches as possible, but not for JT with his athleticism.
Well, it does prevent. I'm a fan. I'm not a huge fan of the one knee, to be honest with you. And it does,
but I mean, if you think about the big picture of it, he's a guy on the field every day.
They end up getting scored wild pitches, so it goes on the pitcher, where there are balls that could be blocked, but that's just not him. That's all over baseball. We're seeing it. There was a time when catchers were on 2 feet, they had a wide base, boom, drop the knee, smother the ball. You save a wild pitch.
Right.
It wasn't, it's not necessarily going to be scored a pass ball, but there's no disputing this guy is a tremendous player, and he's had a tremendous season. And the Phillies are headed to the postseason. I can almost safely say for the first time since 2011, he's a big reason why.
Well, on Wednesday night, one of the, positive storylines for the Phillies was the return of Zach Eflin, the long-anticipated return of Zach Eflin, who'd been out since June 25th. He came in relief. We knew that he was going to be used as a reliever. What did you make seeing it up close, Jim, of his first game action in almost 3 months here?
Yeah, almost 3. It was awesome. On so many levels, Zach Eflin is one of the best people in that clubhouse, one of the hardest workers in that clubhouse, one of the most respected teammates, universally respected. Everybody respects Zach for the talent and for the guy he is and for the hard work he puts in. He's had chronic knee issues. I think he's always had all-star talent. He's just been, knocked down by these by these knees. And again, his right knee flared this year. He had it surgically repaired last year. And, it looked like maybe he wouldn't pitch again this season. And maybe his time with the Phillies is over because he could be a free agent at the end of the year. But battled back, got on the mound in the 8th inning. He's going to be back here in a different role. It's not really enough time to build him up as a starter and get typical starters innings, but doesn't mean he can't pitch quality innings. And he pitched a quality 8th inning. First time on the mound, big league mound since June 25. 11 pitches. I think he had 8 or 9 strikes, and he, punctuates it with that Zach Eflin sinker on the outside corner to freeze Brian Reynolds and Brian Anderson and get that strikeout to end the 8th inning. 94-mile-an-hour sinker, just a beautiful pitch, his signature pitch. And he was elated after the game. His teammates were elated. It's sort of a bonus. He's back. He's going to help in a pennant race. They didn't know if he was going to be back. They have I think you could say a fatigued pitching staff. And he's got a fresh arm. So he's going to be a big boost to this team. The last 19 to 20 games will probably determine his role. He could be an opener, give you a couple innings at the start of a game, and then somebody come in behind him. He could be a middle guy. On certain nights, he could be a late guy. He could protect a lead, pitch late in the game. The big question is, how much time does he need to warm up? Needs a little extra time than most, but not a lot. And, they want to bring him into clean innings, but innings are so valuable, outs are so valuable, and he should be able to provide both. Just a tremendous story, kind of a bonus for him and for the team. For a team that's looking for fresh arms, he could be a real bonus. You're going to have a 13-man pitching staff in the postseason. I really expect him to earn his way onto that 13-man unit. And he has a chance, if this is it for him as a Philly. He's been here since, he holds a kind of a distinct position in Philly's history. He was the first trade when they finally consented to a rebuild in late 2014. They finally, put away the ghost of those great glory year teams from 07 to 2011 and said, okay, it's time to rebuild. He was the first official trade of the rebuild. Ruben Amaro sent him to the Dodgers for Jimmy Rollins, in exchange for Jimmy Rollins. So he has a chance to make a nice impact down the stretch, and good for Zach.
And then Zach Wheeler, Jim, supposed to throw 2 bullpen sessions this week, one early, one late. What's the latest on him? And is Tuesday in play for his return, the first game of the homestand?
Tuesday is absolutely in play against Toronto and Philadelphia. Not saying it's going to happen, but Tuesday or Wednesday, definitely in play. He threw a bullpen session here in Miami on Tuesday, the first day they got down here before the series opener. 30 pitches. It went well. He was happy with it. Friday, they're going to get him back on a mound in Atlanta. He's either going to do an up and down or maybe even face hitters. We might find out today what that's going to look like. But another hurdle will be presented to him on Friday. And if he clears that, it looks like he could be back in the rotation on Tuesday or Wednesday. If he gets back on Tuesday or Wednesday, that would line him up for 3 starts as this regular season winds down and allow him to pitch the postseason opener. So that's a good thing.
When you talk about it would allow him to make 3 regular season starts, do you think the Phillies are going to go to strictly a 5-man rotation with Wheeler replacing Bailey Falter, or could they still incorporate Falter, who has just been awesome? Last 6 starts, 5-0, 2.52 ERA, sub-1 WHIP.
That's a great question. I don't know what they're going to do there, but Bailey Falter has been a godsend. That was Rob Thompson's word, and I agree. Since Pittsburgh, the end of July, he's made 6 starts, all on a fill-in basis. 1 was on a rain-out, and 1 was for Zach Eflin, 1 was on a rain-out, 4 were for Zach Wheeler, and the team has won all of those games. That is really a great job. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I mean, Wheeler's not good. Probably they're going to watch Wheeler. out of the gate. He's not going to gobble up 7 in the third right out of the gate. So maybe it could be in tandem with him. Maybe they could use Falter in tandem, maybe with Noah Syndergaard, who is kind of gives you 5, and then you got to start looking at your bullpen. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. There's going to be a place for him as they trim starter innings. Once they really feel like they have a spot in the postseason clinched. So we'll find out, but I think his place down, at least down the stretch here, is pretty secure.
So Jim, you don't want to look past the series finale in Miami, which takes place later today as we sit down to record this. But the Phillies have this big series in Atlanta this weekend, 3 games with the Braves, who are just a half game behind the Mets in the NL East. The Mets it's the wrong time for the Mets to go cold. They were just swept at home by the Cubs, same Cubs team that swept the Phillies out of the All-Star break. The Mets have lost 7 of their last 11 games against the Nationals, Marlins, Cubs, and Pirates. So they have not played well lately, and the Braves keep surging. Phillies are going to see Max Fried in the first game, Jake Odorizzi, who's pretty hittable in the second game, and then they get Spencer Strider on Sunday. So Fried and Strider, Friday and Sunday. That could be tough going for the Phillies. The series means a ton for both teams.
For both teams, it should be intense. The Braves are so good. I can't believe the Mets blew that lead, or you know what I mean. They tightened it up like that, and we could see the Braves surge past them this weekend. It wouldn't surprise me. It would surprise me in regard that I didn't think the Mets could blow that lead. I thought they were, on cruise control, destined to win the division. I thought Buck Showalter would keep him right there. It's not his fault, but I mean, the Braves are just a remarkable machine, from front office to the coaching staff to the players to their scouting and player development. I mean, they brought Michael Harris and Spencer Strider up, 2 difference-making rookies, and they do it all the time. Acuna, Albies, Austin Riley at third base. They lose Freddie Freeman. Okay, we had Matt Olson. He's awesome too. So, great team. Phillies have their work cut out for them, but I think they're 9-9 against the Braves. Not 9-9. What is it?
6-6. Yeah,
6-6 against the Braves. So 500. They've played them tough. The Phillies have played the Braves tough. It should be a very interesting series. It should be a good series, an intense series, a tight series. Big stakes for both teams. Max Fried is like Cole Hamels light. It reminds me a little Cole Hamels, and Spencer Strider is absolutely electric. So, they better get a good night's sleep Saturday night if they're facing him on Sunday.
He did show that he was human earlier this week against the Giants, did not pitch well against San Francisco, just 5 innings, a lot of base runners for Strider. But, man, him and Michael Harris, they're, neck and neck for NL Rookie of the Year. So that gives them even more to play for, though, down the stretch. So Phillies have the Braves, Blue Jays, and then Braves again coming up. So the schedule's getting tougher. It's, this run of Nationals and Marlins is pretty much over, although the Phillies do have some games left against the Nats. But to go 12-6 in these first 18 against the Marlins, Jim, this has been a storyline for years, and the Phillies conquered it. There was no misery in Miami this year. The Phillies won the games they were supposed to win.
Good word. They conquered it. They looked it in the eye and punched it in the face. So, I mean, they lost their first series down here. I think it was in April to the Marlins, and it was like, okay, here we go again. But they have really dominated them lately. Have won 5 series in a row, and the Marlins, they just don't put a lot of runs on the board. They just don't score a lot of runs. The Phillies have been winning a lot of close games against them, and they've beaten a couple. Throughout this winning streak against the Marlins, they've beaten a lot of good pitching. They've beaten a couple of really good ones here in this series. So, as you mentioned, with the schedule toughening up, it's important they kind of win Thursday night and come out of here with a sweep. You need every win you can get. 20 games left, because the Braves are playing for something. The Blue Jays are playing for something. They're going to be putting on their Sunday best for you. The Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays here, but the Phillies, they're playing well. They're playing well, and they're getting good contributions. In key spots, it would be good to get Schwarber going, and that could be a real separator if that happens. But there's a lot to like about the way they're playing right now. I thought, Harper was really good talking after the game last night about how he's had kind of a tough time getting his timing back since coming back from the injury. And he hit a 3-2 changeup out of the pocket Wednesday night. He really drove it to left center. And just boom, 109 miles an hour off the bat. And it wasn't high off the ground, and it got over the fence. And being, 3-2 changeup, I think he was kind of looking for it because his timing is so off. He said that's all he would throw himself now is off speed because he's just having trouble staying back on stuff. So he stayed back on that really nice. He drove it to right, to left center. That's, when you kind of hit the ball that way, the other way, like Rhys Hoskins, when he hits the ball hard to right center, he's kind of getting locked in. Harper said when he hits the ball hard to left center, being a left-handed hitter, he feels like he's getting locked in. So in addition to Realmuto having a big game, Kyle Gibson had a great night coming back from a tough first inning. And Eflin was a real, inspiring effort personally and for what it could mean for the team down the stretch. It was a really good thing for the Phillies to see maybe Harper kind of getting more locked in. Like I said, he admitted he's not happy where his timing is, but he felt like, boom, that might have been the moment that kind of clicked for him and centered him for the final 20 games. And we know what can happen when he gets hot. I mean, you're talking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. So one swing might have been an important thing for Bryce Harper on Wednesday night.
And the Phillies feed off of it. That's twice in the last 3 games that a Harper homer has almost opened the floodgates for the Phillies offense. Saturday night, his homer led to eventually 8 runs. And then last night, Phillies scoreless. He homers. They end up scoring 6, thanks in large part to JT Realmuto as well.
And that's exactly what Realmuto said after the game Wednesday night. He said our offense wasn't doing anything for 4 or 5 innings, and we weren't having a good night. And with one swing, Bryce hits that ball, and it was like everybody can finally breathe, and they just took off. So, you're right. Saturday night, same thing. So it gives you a little peek at how important he is, Bryce Harper, in the middle of that lineup. He's back hitting third, but it just gives you a little glimpse at how everybody does feed off him. Mm-hmm. One swing, everybody relaxes, the offense takes off. So it was a good sign that he really drove that ball out of the park to left center. Maybe it's the swing that kind of is the kick in the butt that gets these guys through the final 20 and into the great beyond, which they haven't seen since 2011.
Those final 20 games, all the Phillies need to do is go 10-10 to get to 90 wins, which just shows you how well they've played for a large portion of this summer. Thanks a lot for listening to the Phillies Talk podcast. He's Jim and I'm Corey. We'll catch you early next week.